In part one, I gave you the recipe. In part two, we went over the rising and the second round of kneading and shaping your bread. And now we have reached part three. I have learned my recipe and my methods of bread baking over the last 15 to 20 years of trial and error. One thing that I found that I really love to do is a whole lot of baking in one day, and then I can freeze all of the results of that baking, and I don't have to bake bread again for anywhere from 5 to 10, 12 days, just depends on how much we're eating bread in a week. The amount of bread I'm baking is also limited to how much freezer space I have that week. But on this day, I was able to do 3 batches of bread. The first batch became 4 4x8 loaves. The second batch became 2 dozen buns made in muffin tins, plus 3 extra buns. And the third batch became 3 9x5 loaves. My 9x5 pans are not cast iron, and you may notice later when I'm removing those bread loaves from those pans that I must not have sprayed them very well with oil because the sides stuck a little. That's okay, it's still good bread. While the smell makes it very hard to resist, don't eat your bread right from the oven, especially don't cut your bread loaves while they have any heat still in them. The dough isn't strong enough yet. It needs to firm up in order to be able to handle the downward pressure of the knife and the slicing. If you were to cut it while it was still warm, it would actually crush your bread loaf, so don't do that. I put mine onto a cooling rack. I cover it with a towel to keep off any flying critters and also to remind my family not to touch. And once they are cooled completely, then I will double bag them for the freezer. All of today's baking was done in my electric oven, which is a double oven and allows me to bake multiple batches at the same time. So from start to finish, it was 2.5 hours, and I baked the equivalent of 12 loaves of bread. Now, I forgot to mention the baking time. I bake at 350 degrees for 32 minutes. That's for the regular bread loaves. Biscuits or buns might only be about 20 minutes, but the way you know is with an internal thermometer. You want the center of your bread to reach 190 degrees Fahrenheit. I usually wait until it's about 195 degrees Fahrenheit, but after a while you won't need the thermometer. You'll know when it's done. Another important secret is to put your bread into an oven that is very hot. So I preheat my oven to 400, and then once I put the bread in to bake it, I lower it to 350. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy bread baking to you.